When it comes to Pokemon with zero usage in competitive play, Alolan Raichu might just be one of the scariest, and it's also one of my favorites. Come on, brother's using its tail as a surfboard. But so here's what we're working with. The Alolan form gains the secondary Psychic typing on top of Electric, and it's basically got the same stats as regular Raichu, with nothing really too standout crazy. But its exclusive ability Surge Surfer is where the fun comes in. When Alolan chews on electric terrain, its speed is now doubled, and that's kinda wild. Here's a reference. A max speed Raichu with Surge Surfer active hits a speed stat of 356 at level 50. If that doesn't sound that crazy, it makes it quite a bit faster than the fastest Pokemon in the game, maxed out Regieleki. So after some terrain setup with our friendly pointy friend, we bring in Raichu to start setting up with Nasty Plot. We now hit extremely hard with Stab Thunderbolt that gets a 50% boost in damage from the electric terrain, plus a Life Orb. We've got Psyshock for extra stab, along with Surf for great coverage, and honestly Alolan Raichu is the kind of mon that can get out of hand fast. So today it's time to shred some waves, and the guys on the other side of the battlefield. Alright, if you've never been personally victimized by a rodent pulling up, surfing on its tail on a wave of electricity, consider yourself lucky, because this thing is insane, and we're gonna go Cowabunga on some people. So if that sounds like a fun time to you, go ahead and consider hitting that subscribe button. I've got tons more Pokemon shenanigans where this came from, and with that, let's jump into the match. Alright, so my opponent decides to lead off with the Sandaconda, who in fact does not want none unless I got Stealth Rocks or something. So as I go with the Lycanroc, I'm here to, just politely set some Stealth Rocks down. I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna place these here, just don't mind me, just gonna sprinkle these around and be on my way. I figure they probably set up Stealth Rock of their own. We're over here comparing sizes. But one thing we know for sure is that Sandaconda can be sometimes a bit of a wild card. As it's a lead Stealth Rock setter, I imagine it's probably not going to be like a loaded dice kind of scale shot, crazy rest and Shedkin set. So no matter what though, this Lycanroc is often a pretty good kind of anti-setup lead. As I go for a close combat here, I know I'm going to be faster. That's going to get some decent chip damage. I can see what it wants to go for, but in general, I'm Focus Sash anyway with Endeavor. So they do go for an Iron Defense, and now the snake's looking a bit thick. Pause. But with that, I know that it's surely going to click Body Press, and especially, I'm definitely going to get knocked down to my Sash. So I figure this turn, I just click Close Combat again. We've got it at about half, and the good thing is, as long as it doesn't get incredibly fast, it shouldn't be, too big of a problem. They are going to continue to Iron Defense, though, which means they probably do have Rest with Shedskin, which can get a little bit scary. But luckily, I have fast stuff that can hit it on the special side, so they can boost that physical up as much as they want. But at this point, since they have their Stealth Rock up, I might as well use my Sash here while I've got it. I close combat again, and with all the drops, this Lycanroc is in fact made out of paper in glass, because a Body Press is surely going to destroy me. It does knock me down to 1, which is great. Now, ordinarily, I could potentially save the Endeavor on something else. I hope that I can get something down to 1. But since they got their Stealth Rock up, I do not have any hazard removal. So I'm not going to be able to bring this thing back in. And I figure just to ensure that this thing isn't a huge problem, I can click the Endeavor here. That covers for if they do go for a rest. They do not. And as I get them down to 1, they finish me off with 1 more Body Press. So we do lose the Lycanroc, but I kind of did my job, at least in setting up Stealth Rock and then ensuring that the Sandaconda, it doesn't go full shotgun mode on me and go crazy. So after some leftovers, it's still not looking great, but at this point, all I have to do is go into anything faster. And I realize my best bet's probably going to be the Milotic here. The reason for that is I can bring it in. I am about anything is faster than Sandaconda, so I can click Scald and outspeed, but more importantly, that is going to be able to burn the turn that it takes to be able to activate my Flame Orb. So throw some hot water at him. That's going to take care of the snake. And we do get burnt from the Flame Orb. The reason why we want that, of course, is for Marvel Scale. Now my physical defense is going to be boosted by 50%. And this is not the kind of Milotic you want to play games with. It's gonna take every hit imaginable. So, one thing we do not want to deal with, however, is Glaceon. A Freeze Dry is probably worst case scenario. So I figure, you know what? When in doubt, bring in Fire. I'm an absolute, call me the world champ difference right there. Switch into Fire type on Ice type. Profit. Now, they do end up going for the Snowscape, however, which is going to obviously make it snow on the beach, just ruining everybody's day. The Pokemon world has to be pretty messed up for that. But regardless, that's going to boost this thing's physical defense by 50%, which is kind of nice if you're Glaceon, but, not nice if you want to take a flamethrower to the face, which I am definitely going to click. I should be able to take anything that this thing wants to throw at me, but as they go for a Terra, I know that shit's about to get a little crazy here. I figure, you know, you're going to be defensive Terra. It does turn out to be Terra normal, so I was not familiar with your drip game. Goes with the, buddy's fully iced out now with the diamond. And since I am faster, it is going to be able to take a flamethrower. Luckily, though, I get a critical hit, which does a lot, but it turns out to be unlucky because now they're able to click a mirror coat, and that is going to double back my special damage, and that is going to knock out the Moltres. I'm like, well, that was certainly a series of events, but at least at this point, I've got enough damage on the thing to where I'm not super afraid, and I figured, you know who looks pretty nice for some good potential for sweeping? Is the old Surfing Raichu. And first of all, of course, our Urchin buddy needs to come in first. Now, the plan with this is, A, be able to get up Electric Surge, obviously, but B, I know that I should be able to take one attack from this thing, so I can go for a Spikes, and then my plan would be to go for a Memento. So, it turns out they end up clicking the Alluring Voice, which isn't going to do great damage, but it does give me a little bit of the scares in terms of what I want to do after this. Now, I set up a layer of Spikes, which is important because with Stealth Rock and Spikes, if that Skeledirge is not boots, a setup Raichu is going to be looking pretty good for this little sweep action. So, now I should be able to take any attack it wants to throw at me. As they go for a Freeze Dry, I do just barely hang on. Allows me to fire off the Memento, which is amazing because now, with this thing's -2 to special attack, it's not going to be able to Freeze Dry its way out of a wet paper bag. So, the Pin Curtain setup has done everything it could. And with the electric terrain up for hopefully the remainder of the game, it's looking like Alolan Raichu is going to be in a spot here to not only be able to set up, but be faster. And then after a Nasty Plot, be looking really good for this kind of mid to late game. So I go into the Surf and Chew. While this feels like a relatively safe position to Nasty Plot, the one problem is we saw they have Alluring Voice. And one bad part about Alluring Voice, as we're about to find out, is if they use it on a turn where I set up, just like this, I get confused. Which, while it doesn't do any damage, I mean, we're relatively safe, but now I'm just confused, and that's going to really throw a wrench in the plan potentially. But, I mean, Raichu's special attack is now doubled. There is nothing faster unless they have the Unburden active on their Hawlucha in the back. If that's the case, then we're kind of screwed. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and click a Thunderbolt here, because literally nothing wants to deal with that. Boosted by the electric terrain, it's gonna sting for no matter who comes in. Now, it does turn out to be the Electros, who does take Stealth Rock Chip, which is great. I got some evil-ass rubber duckies that are busting my balls over here, and they also allow me to hit myself in the face. So, you know, I do hit myself in confusion. So, the Alluring Voice got me there, I got to admit. But here's the thing about Electros. If I have +2, I hit it on the physical side with a Psyshock, there's a pretty good chance this knocks it out, especially after that little bit of damage from Stealth Rock. We're going to go for it. I am still confused, obviously outspeed. And thank Arceus, we do not hit ourselves this time, and a Psyshock is going to be able to knock it out in one hit with the Life Orb, with the Nasty Plot. And that was the definite best check to the Raichu, but it turns out Psyshock hurts. So we take a little bit of chip from that Life Orb, doesn't really matter as long as they don't have any crazy priority. We can take all the damage in the world. Now here's they go Skeledirge. It does not have heavy duty boots, so it takes a bunch of damage from the Stealth Rock and Spikes. And that is perfect, because check this out. While it is unaware, it doesn't know that I have that Nasty Plot. As I break through the confusion once again, a Thunderbolt, even without a Nasty Plot on the electric terrain, is enough to knock out the Dirge. And that is incredibly satisfying, because, you know, anytime you're setting up in front of a team that has an unaware mon like Skeledirge, things get a little bit scary. But luckily for us, the Clown Gator then goes down, and honestly, just like that, we are kind of in an open match with the Raichu. We are able to then hopefully just zap the hell out of this Clawitzer. This thing comes in, big meaty claws looking pretty delicious. And while they haven't used a defensive Terra, I'm still just clicking T-Bolt at this point. Now I am still confused, which is annoying as hell. But I don't hit myself, thank God. I hit myself once, so I mean, they got me there. But luckily, the Thunderbolt is going to be able to zap that thing in the next Thursday. And that's a dead Clawitzer. Now, the final mon on their squad... Actually, I lied. They have 2 left. I mean, they have the Glaceon, who just comes in and dies to hazards anyway. So basically 1 left, and it's going to be Hawlucha here, who is scary. If this thing was, for whatever reason, Electric Seed, we'd be screwed. It comes in, it's not going to be able to get its Unburden ability just yet. But what it can do is click Detect, and you can go ahead and detect these nuts. But sadly for me, as I'm thinking about it, I'm like, you know what, that could be bad, because what that's going to do is it's going to stall out a turn of electric terrain. And it just so happens that that was the last turn of it. Now, this thing is naturally faster. If it's adamant and not jolly, I will be able to outspeed. So I'm really hoping it's not a plus speed nature. I'm going to click the T-Bolt anyway and just see what happens. Now, it turns out Raichu does just outspeed because Buddy was probably trying to get Unburdened to be active. But without it, Raichu is able to outspeed an Adamant Lucha. And that is why this rodent is my goat. I'm able to just continually just beat the hell out of myself with the Life Orb. But it doesn't matter because their final mon is Glaceon. This thing comes in. It is able to rock the Diamond Steel. It actually does live the hazards. I lied. Since it's normal type, it does just barely hang on. But that just gives us the little late satisfaction of one more T-Bolt able to finish it off. So Raichu, Alolan Chew coming through with the full body bag today, which is incredibly satisfying. And honestly, if you can find this thing a position with a long enough, setup on electric terrain, you're gonna have a bad time against it. And that's a pretty good example. We're just over here just shredding around, still just standing on the tail. Did all that while just balancing on my tail like the true goat. So that's gonna do it for game number 1. But that's now gonna bring us into game number 2 because that's, why not? We're having some electric fun over here. So look, if you've stuck around this far into the video, first of all, you're cool. I thank you for that. But also, hey, go ahead and do me a favor and hit the like button. It does help out for some reason, but for the most part, I'm just over here messing around with fun Pokemon and we're just having a time. So let's get into it. All right, so you may have noticed, first of all, from Team Preview, Buddy's got a squad full of guys that I am wildly afraid of. But as they lead off with the Meowscarada, this is also not great. It's surely just going to be faster, get off a U-turn, break my Focus Sash, and also break my balls. So they do go ahead. They get off the little turn 1 pivot, and now they can bring in whatever they want. Now, I'm thinking Stealth Rock is going to be useful. First of all, if I can get Dragonite to switch in on him, break its Marvel Scale, that would be nice. But, they bring it in on the turn that I do set up the Stealth Rock, so Dragonite's looking like a little bit of a problem. Now, anytime you're staring in the face of this fella, I'm worried about a Dragon Dance setup. But I figure I can still go for an Endeavor here. It turns out, though, they just straight up click the Extreme Speed, probably thinking that's going to knock me out. Luckily, it doesn't, and then that helps out my Endeavor even further. But now as I'm nearly dead, I end up clicking Accelerock. I probably should have swapped here. Extreme Speed with higher priority is going to be able to finish me off. I didn't really want to go directly into something like Milotic there. And honestly, in hindsight, should have gone Milotic. I was really worried about conserving that thing just for big threats in the back like Chien Pao. Regardless though, hey, at least I got my Stealth Rock up. I knocked down the Dragonite to the point where it can't really swap unless for whatever reason it's heavy duty boots, but this now allows me to go into the Pincurchin, and this is the evil urchin from hell, baby. I can take an Earthquake, lay down a little spikes, and then that's pretty much, that's pretty much it. I do obviously just go down to another Quake, but what I don't want to happen is let this thing go down early. I need to be able to set back up electric terrain later if needed, because I do want to play toward a Raichu setup. So I figure they probably just Quake again. If they don't, that's fine. They're gonna have to touch Moltres, and it turns out to click Encore, which I didn't even realize that thing can do. So Japanese players coming through with crazy shit you did not expect. And also at this point, I thought, if they do swap, a U-turn is going to be great, but if they stay in, maybe I grab a kill. It doesn't, though. They stay in, and it lives, which, is annoying. So at this point, I'm like, well, I'm just going to have to go into Milotic anyway, which is honestly still not that big of a deal. But as I swap in, they click Roost. So truly, this guy's not letting me know his next move. I have no idea what the hell this Dragonite's going to do next, but at this point, at least, I've kind of seen what it's all about. So they do click Earthquake here, just trying to get some damage. Doesn't do anything, because my Marvel Scale is active, and I don't know if I called it... I always confuse Multi-Scale and Marvel Scale. I've probably said it wrong today already, and that's fine. But I go ahead and I click the Dragon Tail, which is going to swap the fella out as it lives, and ends up bringing in Meowscarada, which is kind of not really the guy I wanted to see come in here, but it does take some considerable hazards, and that's all we can really ask for. So the one thing about it is, I have pretty good defensive checks to a lot of these things. I can go right into the Moltres here. If they U-turn, if they Flower Trick, regardless, they're gonna have to make physical contact. And when you touch the hot wings, the wings are hot, baby. It's gonna potentially get a little flame body active and get the burn on the thing. Now they do go for the Flower Trick. I'm thinking, hell yeah, that's not gonna do a damn thing. And it doesn't. I 4 times resist that, and that's a hilarious crit. So at this point, one great situation is that surely they have to swap here. There's nothing that Meowscarada can do. So I'm able to grab a free U-turn in a free position to get myself some momentum going, and they go back into Dragonite here. Now this match in particular is a little more kind of, I have to be a little more careful with the Alolan Raichu. One thing is, of course, extreme speed from Dragonite. Anytime there's priority working around, it's gonna be scary. I know that I can take at least one extreme speed if that's what they want to go for, But I also can't really set up in the face of this that easily because they have a Chien-Pao in the back with Sucker Punch. So having to bide my time a little bit here, I decide to just click the Thunderbolt. Turns out they do not extreme speed, and we make him pay for that one. So down goes the Dragonite before it was able to cause too much of a ruckus. And now, sadly, Raichu is kind of a sitting duck for Chien-Pao's crazy ass to just come in here and be scary. So one good thing is it's got a limited amount of times it can come in and do this, right? Because the Stealth Rock and the Spikes just does so much in terms of easy chip damage that knowing that they're probably going to click Sucker Punch here, I can then get a free swap into... I have honestly two good defensive answers being both Milotic and the Moltres here, but they do Sucker Punch. I bring in the Milotic here, which is great because I can either A, click Scald and roll for a burn chance. I could also expect a switch and go for a flip turn and try to grab myself another position to bring in Raichu. But I decided to just click Recover here. I know that this thing is going to be really good. I'm honestly very afraid of a lot of their threats in the back, man. They've got like Shadow Rider, Calyrex, and keeping HP on Milotic is going to be one of my main kind of objectives here. So they end up going for the Terra Dark. Puts on the scary hat, and as they click Sucker Punch again here, and that's going to fail, and it turns out my Scouting Recover works out pretty nicely. We get back to full here, which I wasn't that hurt anyway, but I just wanted to see how much what this thing really wanted to click, to be honest. But seeing them burn their Terra is really good. That's going to hopefully open the game for no crazy nonsense in the back. And as I just go for a Scald here, they decide to just click the Sucker Punch anyway. Again, I am Marvel Scale burnt. It's going to do less than half, even with a Life Orb, which is kind of wild with the Terra Dark. And as I go for the Scald, I do also get the burns. I'm like, hell yeah, that's actually about the best turn possible. Milotic is still healthy. We get the burn. Sadly, it doesn't knock it out. That probably would have been a little more satisfying. But honestly, considering I have Recover, I'm still in a very safe spot here to just freely get myself back to full. They end up clicking Sucker Punch again here, which is great because obviously I just Recover. So I don't know, Buddy just doesn't have anything better to click than Sucker Punch, but we make him pay for that as I recover back to nearly full. And now the burn damage is going to take care of it. So down goes Chien-Pao. That's a huge threat, the biggest priority threat out of the way for the Raichu. And now that really kind of opens the game for the late game Raichu. That's what I'm going to be playing toward. As they still have very fast and scary threats, it does feel like if I can A, get Raichu up and maybe set up, it's going to be over for dude. So now they bring in the freaking Crowned Zacian, because if you know every single mon on this team is just about the scariest thing possible. So it comes in, gets a free attack boost, which is sweet, but I'm like, you know what? I can just click Scald. If I can get another burn here, will I feel bad? No, I will not, because this is a freaking Zacian. So I go for the Scald. As they Trailblaze, gets the speed boost, does some decent chip, but the Scald does not burn it. And honestly, I figure I'm probably not due. Anyway, this next one might, but I'm like, I'm just gonna click Recover. If they want to continue to Trailblaze, I'm truly not that afraid of this thing getting fast. I mean, it will be, I guess, faster than Raichu, but still, with my defensive options, honestly, Milotic still looks pretty nice here. So it turns out, though, they go for a Swords Dance, and that's when things start to get a little bit scary. I'm like, you know, I definitely need a Scald Burn here. They go for another Swords Dance. Now Buddy's sitting at +4. It has a Trailblaze boost, and I am very afraid of whatever the hell this thing wants to do. Now, as I Scald it, it does not get the burn again. And I'm like, all right, well, that's when the panic is starting to set in mildly. Now, I don't know exactly what this thing wants to click here, but it turns out they just click another Trailblaze. After 2 Swords Dances, though, I do live it, because literally, I've said it before, this Milotic is diabolical. And as I hit it with a third Scald, I'm thinking surely a burn. Nope, no burn. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, I got lucky on the Chien-Pao, and now they're just making me pay for it. So at this point, what I can do is, I know that Milotic is not going to be in a great spot here, but I decided to conserve the thing. I figure, you know what I can do? If they just want to click a Trailblaze again, I can go into the Hot Wings. They're going to have to make contact. First of all, it's not going to do anything, even with the Swords Dances. Rolls for a chance to burn with the Flame Body, and I still do not get it. And I'm like, all right, well, that's not good. Now, here's the thing. As I click Flamethrower here, they end up swapping. I know that I'm a pretty decent defensive check to the thing, but they just go ahead and swap out of all their Swords Dances. And now they bring in the Ting Lu, which feels fine. I mean, I'm not going to really be able to touch the thing because Vessel of Ruin comes through, weakens special attack, and I just click Flamethrower anyway, but I'm kind of fine with that. I really neutralized the Zacian there, which I will absolutely take, and I get a Flamethrower burn. Things are just getting burnt to a crisp all over the damn place today. And again, do I feel bad? Not really. I will absolutely take it. I mean, this thing's probably just going to set up Stealth Rock and is going to click Ruination anyway, so it doesn't really matter, but hey, the continual damage is always nice. And I'm going to get my ass out of here. Hot Wings is still going to have some value. I can U-turn for some honestly good chip. This thing is below half here, which is great. And now I can go into whatever I want. And honestly, as I'm looking at it, I feel like maybe as they click Stealth Rock here, I could bring in Milotic, outspeed and get off a recover, and then I'll be fully evil. Now, they do click the Stealth Rock, which is sick, because I come in for free, and barring this thing having, for whatever reason, like crazy max speed or something, this thing's like base 45 speed. I should be able to be faster. I can click a recover, and then boom, just like that, we're still a problem. Am I safe against the Shadow Rider Calyrex? Most definitely not. But, I mean, if I can just get off a recover here, Milotic's still going to be looking good, and then that kind of forces in the Calyrex. So, I do go for the recover, and one thing about this Milotic is I know these guys are just hovering above the switch off button, and it doesn't do it. They collect the Whirlwind here, which is fine. I come in, recover my ass back to half, and then get Whirlwinded out, which is totally fine. So that's kind of what these things do. It does end up dragging in Raichu. Now, Raichu does not enjoy really coming in before the electric terrain is up, and that's for a few reasons here. Most of all because without it, I'm not going to be faster than Shadow Rider Calyrex in the back, which is nonsense. But also, I mean, this thing's at half, and it's just super bulky, so I know even with a Surf, I'm not going to be able to knock it out. So I decide, knowing that they're probably just going to click Earthquake, I'm going to go on into one last little time to bring in the Pincurchin. I want to be able to come in before spikes are set up or anything to know that I come in safely. I just get dug into by some rocks, but I spill some lemonade on the freaking battlefield, and that is going to be able to stick around, hopefully, for the remainder of the game. Now, they do click Earthquake, so the Pincurchin comes in essentially just to get up that electric terrain. But now, the late game is fully being... I'm fully putting all my resources into Raichu, hopefully pulling this one back. So it is going to be... Again, it's slowly getting whittled down, at least by the burn. It's a little below half. And now, as Raichu can come in, I'm still kind of in a dangerous spot. I don't know exactly how this thing's built, if a Surf is going to be able to knock it out. But also, I know that I'm going to need a nasty plot to be able to pull off the sweep that I want to. So, there's one thing that I've been saving this entire time, and it's going to have to work out for me here, hopefully. So, knowing that they clicked Earthquake there earlier, what I'm going to do is bring in Raichu, try to bait him into thinking I'm going to click Surf, and if they can go ahead and click an Earthquake, I'm going to float above that shit with my balloons. And everybody say happy birthday to the Raichu, because it is a monumentous day. So I go ahead and I put the balloons on my head. I'm thinking, please click Earthquake. That's going to allow me to nasty plot. And if I can double my special attack, the game is basically over. So I get it off. I'm thinking, please. And I do click the Earthquake, which is amazing. We float above it on our sick-ass little surfboard. And now it's time to see if we can take the Chew all the way against some of the scariest threats in the game. So, again, Buddy's just chilling at half HP. But he's also going to be chilling underwater and dead because I'm able to fire off a Surf. Cowabunga on that ass, and that's a dead... That is a dead Tinglu. So that thing is definitely the one best defensive check. But look, the electric terrain is up long enough for me to be able to outspeed everything they've got, and it's time to see if we can get it. So, they go Calyrex Shadow Rider here. Knowing if this thing is timid, max speed, it has a max speed at level 50 of 222. Bad news for them, though, is that Raichu is, in fact, way faster than that with electric terrain up. So I can go ahead and Thunderbolt with a nasty plot. That's going to be able to outspeed, and I'm going to be able to take care of it. So thank God for the plot. Down goes the Calyrex. Did not even get to cause the problems I was thinking it was going to. And a little bit of Life Orb chip. But hey, that's kind of that was their little last-ditch effort, because now... as friggin' Crownzation comes in, he's like, how's it going? And then just stabbed to the heart by some spikes and rocks, and you're dead. So, down goes Sword Doggo. And the final mon that they've got left in the back is going to be that Meowscarada, who, even if it's Choice Scarf and max speed, guess what? Alolan Raichu is still faster, which is incredibly satisfying. And all I got to do is go for a Thunderbolt, even though it's resisted. Check this out. That's going to be able to finish it off. So... the late game Alolan Raichu is not to be slept on. This thing is incredibly fun to use. Yeah, do you have to use basically 2 Pokemon to get one thing to go crazy? You definitely do. But, I mean, hey, it still can work. And this thing is slept on, but not today, boys. That's going to do it for the video. Thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate all the support, and I will catch you guys next time. Peace out.